Hi, it's been a while. It has been like at least 4 weeks, I do have to say. And I just want to start this episode off by apologizing to not only y'all, but myself, because even though it's been an eventful 4 weeks, I made a promise to myself when I started this podcast that I'm not gonna stop with it and be consistent and, show up every single day. And let's just say that life got in its way. And I'm realizing that that's just part of the flow. That's just part of me, who I am ultimately. And it is what it is. But moving on, I am holding myself accountable. We are holding ourselves accountable, all of us collectively, to pursue our goals efficiently and consistently, more so, because that's really what it was. I started a new job. Yay, I'll get into that more soon. But overall, I just wanted to briefly touch up on my hiatus. And, we here, that's what matters. We're showing up. We are present nonetheless after a rather than longer absence. But, I'm excited to talk to y'all today and just really update with what has been going on in the last 4 weeks. And other than that, I hope y'all have been well. I have really been growing in the season and transition of fall. Happy first full day of fall. I'm recording this on the 23rd. And, with the transition of the seasons comes new beginnings, comes endings, and comes a refresh. And I'm excited to embrace that change and refresh that needed to happen and is currently happening. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. I have been working this past week. I got a new job about 4 weeks ago, and it's a nightlife bar, entertainment, restaurant type vibe. They originated from Florida into the Midwest, and it's been really fun overall getting to work there. I would say some of my friends are also working there, so that always helps working at a new job. But your boy's a host, one of the many beautiful faces of this restaurant. And I have not been a host before. I'm currently a barista, was currently a barista prior to this job as well. And with baristing, I feel like I interact with a decent amount of people on a daily basis. But being a host in this new environment has really only expanded that for me, as well as taught me some valuable lessons about people and just the daily interactions I'd be having there with a different crowd, truly. A different breed, one might say, because maybe it's just working in the city or a restaurant or like a scene where adults be drinking, the amount of people who be day drinking. I mean, shit, what can I say? It's a Sunday. I'm just thinking to my last shift at work, it was a Sunday, and it's like, okay, morning mimosas, y'all have at it. Shots, who am I to judge? We're all adults. You can make your decisions, but it's really exposed me to a lot of different things so far. And this hospitality industry is certainly not one for the weak. And like I said, there has been valuable lessons to be learned so far, but I feel like the most important thing I've been learning with this is just how to interact with people and all types of people, because I have never really considered myself extroverted up until, I would say, even like end of high school, college era. And even then, I think it was because I just hadn't known my type of people, hadn't had a solidified group of people who I would call my like sense of home. And I've only expanded into like being more of an extrovert. But with this job, I'm like, you really gotta have a full battery showing up to work. And on the days that I don't, I am mentally drained. Shit, I'm already mentally drained after like quite a few shifts, if I'm being so honest with y'all. And I'm realizing I enjoy the atmosphere for the most part. I enjoy my coworkers more so. Y'all are fun. Um, and I do enjoy the overall scene because this place like doubles as like a club, even though we don't have an actual club spot, more of a rooftop. And so DJs be cycling in every weekend, which I'm very grateful to work in, a musical industry somewhat because I myself as an aspiring DJ and I just enjoy going out. So I very much feel like this job was a blessing to even receive. Also my pay for like host pay. That's fucking double as I make as a barista, which is nice. And it's good and it's needed in this transitional season where I'm gonna be inside more, and with that comes working, getting that bag, all the things, new opportunities, abundance. My life has been flowing with abundance lately, let's just say that. And I really appreciate this job so far for all the pros and cons of it. And, it's been my second, third full week of working here. And I do think overall I'm going to come to enjoy it for what it is. And it's only going to be more experience gained in the field of people. And I think that's something that's going to make me stay there too. I am very interested in sociology and psychology. And I'm like, if I were to ever go back to school, I'm going to drop out. I dropped out after freshman year because, as much as I enjoyed the aspect of college, it's not worth it personally in this moment for me. When I was going for photography, which I enjoyed for the community, for the sense of creativeness, and for just getting to pursue my passions full time, I just couldn't justify the additional costs and money and tuition because let's be real here. College capitalism, the US is already growing and the prices are insane. And I personally, I don't come from a life of money, so I gotta make things happen on my own terms. And, if that isn't through a traditional formal education, then so be it. I will gladly pave my own way. And that is what I have been doing, and that is what I have been growing to learn lately with all of this. So I am blessed regardless of everything. And, even though there's moments where I am stressed, it's like I'm trying to remind myself long term what this is all for, where I want to be. And as nothing is temporary, I really appreciate reminding myself of that. And I'm overall just grateful for the position I am in and the experiences I have encountered and learned many valuable lifelong lessons from. So, blessed, never stressed. I know that's right. But outside of work, I've had enjoyable experiences in my personal life. Even though last week I worked a 60-hour week, I feel as though that balanced out because in the previous weeks, I was a little clubbing, I was a little partying, you know the deal, taking advantage of my part-time lifestyle, which was nice, fun while it lasted type shit. But went out to the club, and here's a first. I'm going out. This was a full moon, by the way. Went out with my friends, enjoyed ourselves, preed it up. And all of a sudden, this is me off the wine. I don't drink a lot, truly. But when I do, there's something about the wine that makes it freaky deaky time. Need I say more? If you can relate, you can relate. If you know what's up from the wine, it just making me feel some type of way. Sexy, fine, divine, all the above. And I love that. I truly love that. So, show up to the club, standing in line at the bar. I peep two fine shits on the dance floor. And then they come up to me, right? And we having a good time. I end up pulling up to the dance floor and boom, we dancing it out, feeling each other. Then all of a sudden, grinding and vibing, and suddenly a third comes in. I'll explain the dynamic. It's a man, it's a woman, and it's another man. And, feeling it out, like I said, and then boom, all of a sudden, I make out, ooh, ooh, and all of a sudden, I kiss two people in the club. Like, and it's so funny because for the past month, I have been wanting to make out with this stranger in the club for some forsaken reason. Honestly, I think it's because I'm trying to be in Europe and Brazil right now, mainly Sao Paulo, Brazil, and in the clubbing cultures, all of that is normal. Kissing strangers is normal. And I'm not one to be physically intimate. I am a very slow and patient person when it comes to, relationships, dynamics, and all of that. But for some reason, I feel like it was the full moon, if I'm being so honest, but also my intentions and desires. Let's be real. I think for me, it was it was fun. It was passionate. And who am I to stop myself from having a good time? If all the consent is there, if the vibe was there, if the moment was there, and best believe it was what I needed. It was what I fucking needed. And lessons learned heavily. Because here's the thing. I was telling myself, oh, I have to wait for all this. I'm not going to do any of this in fucking Missouri of all places. When that's a big ass excuse that I would just keep telling myself for why limiting belief, if I'm being honest. And also laziness and excuses. But at the end of the day, going through that made me realize I have the power, as we all do, to change my life in the flip of a switch. And all it takes is that shift in the mindset, telling yourself that I can do this. I can do new things. I am open to new experiences. Why am I limiting my beliefs in my values and ways of thinking and telling myself a false narrative? When the truth is, you create your own narrative, you create your own story, and you're the only person in your path stopping you from pursuing anything that it is in life that you so desire. A quick reminder to not only you, but to me, because best believe it was very refreshing and, need I say healing? Shit, I would say it was healing, because I'm not a person of PDA either. And then in that moment, all I'm going to say is I don't remember. I'm kidding. I do remember. Like I said, it was in the moment. And if the moment just so happened to be a moment such as that, then so fucking be it, because I had myself a grand old time. And will it happen again? Shit, I don't know. Probably not. But we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell indeed. But yeah, so other than that, working hard, clubbing, walking my first fashion show soon to be indeed, I feel as soon as I started opening myself, exposing myself to these experiences, to being authentic and just being myself, because I've always been myself, but I've always felt like some aspects needed to be filtered. And I can even look back to early years where even if I wasn't shining in all of this light, aka personality, and these experiences over the past month have truly just taught me to be myself. As much as I say that all the fucking time, I feel like it's so true. As much as you hear it around the internet, it's hella true. Just radiate in your authenticity, because that is where the most growth is sprouted from. Your roots, your internal sense of you, in the brain and the heart and the spirit, body, mind, and spirit is such a true thing. And it's very crucial to, take care of each and every one of those aspects, because that is how you build, balance in your life. And balance is what I seek in all aspects of my life. I have a bonsai tree tattoo. You probably won't be able to see it, but it represents peace, balance, and harmony. And it was an impulsive tattoo decision. It's like my fourth tattoo. I need more tattoos, but it was my most recent. And I really resonated with the philosophy of it and the symbolism of it. And it's just a reminder to me of my core beliefs and what I hold to be true. And in moments where I do feel a little lost or a little shaken, and as if the scales are, uneven. Y'all be, in the 6, 7, uneven. Yeah, the scales do be uneven at times, but in reality, I don't think they can ever truly remain balanced because life is but a constant ebb and flow. And in the great practice of Taoism, that is just how life is and how we are supposed to ride the waves, going with the flow, letting back and letting go. With all that, though, I do have to say this past month has been very rejuvenating in the sense of a new period of life. And I'm very stoked for this fall and all it has to offer. And as much as I don't look forward to the winter, I'm reminding myself that it doesn't matter because the winter is a ways away and this is what we have, the present moment. So why am I to think about a moment that is further or even in the past, when I can just simply exist in the present and appreciate all it has to offer. Hence what I am doing right now, and hence what I want you to remember as well with this transition. So, need I say more? I think we have come to a conclusion, but I will be back sooner than before, sooner than the last episode. Best believe we are not doing a 4-week hiatus anymore. I will be seeing y'all next week. Peace.